We're going to see what's in here at the end. If you want to fast forward, go ahead. I'll tell you right now, it is a cold steel knife, but to find out which one, we'll have to derive why I bought it in the first place. And yes, by the title, that is one Mamba Jamba Fighting Blade. What makes it that? Why not any of these? Are those good enough? Why did I buy yet another knife? Obviously, I have plenty to choose from. Too many, I would say. Well, let's start off with a few things. One, I am, and you are, a warrior. And what I mean by that is, when you're a warrior, you have skills, you have mindset, hopefully some tactics, but then these become your tools. And if you're the warrior, it doesn't matter what these tools are, you will find a way to use them. Now that said, certainly a better functioning knife for that task will do more harm in the right hands than a lesser knife. It's that simple. Another simple thing is you or me will go to jail if you are using these in a place that you are not legally allowed to have them. We do live in a lawful society. Let's try to keep it that way. Finally, do all these features matter, and which ones are we actually going to have with us? Because while we love something simple and effective such as a dagger, I'm not taking that around with me every day. I have one, but I don't have it on me. So we gotta have somewhere to meet in the middle. We can't have the best fighting blade with us and then also being able to be comfortable have it with us daily. So again, we'll get to this, but let's start in the other spectrum. We have something like a tactical pen. It takes a lot of skill to know all your pressure points and how to use this properly, but you can have this all places. So that is a good benefit. We hopefully have our keys with us all the time, and while we do have a blade like the Leatherman style is on this one, that's kind of laughable at a defensive blade. Many reasons. So we also have a box cutter, the evil box cutter, right? It has done quite some harm to some boxes. As we see, actually quite cleverly, see caution. Don't touch anything beyond that sharp point. Just kidding. So why is that not a good fighting blade? Well, let's talk about blade length. It has to be usable in the edge to do some damage. Let's just be honest with ourselves. So this is probably the smallest thing that I would even slightly consider fighting with. What else can we do? Well, we can have something that is one-handed to open. Could be assisted like this one is. This is a SOG Flash 1. But I also would say, if you can carry the SOG Flash 1, I think you could carry the 940 Benchmade as well. But something like this is very nice, but I think we could do one better, in that the Ontario Rat 1, you have a nice groove in the handle here, so even when slick, I have something to roughly grab onto, as well as jimping on the top of the blade here to give me some traction. What else? How about just the material in the handle? This is rubber, or some type of it. It's got extra grip, and also has the features we talked about. You could do something yourself. You could, file them down. You could texture something like this. This is a CNC machine, but you could create something like that with a handle you already have. This is also a little bit more stout with a frame lock. The actual frame acts as the lock on this blade. So we have now talked about size, handle material, locks. This is lock back, axis lock, liner lock, frame lock, and then we'll get to that one in a minute. But what about how we've been deploying it? This is all one-handed, but also using a thumb stud. Why not use something like a flipper? That's a little bit easier to use when you have gloves on, and that's the main thing, is that it's multi-seasonal use. And if I can train with one blade to do all this, that's going to be much simpler than constantly changing between all these. Or we could have something that catches the pocket, like an Emerson Wave there. So this Spyderco makes a nice, what is this, the Endura, the Endura. And it has both a thumb stud and the pocket catch with the Emerson Wave. Or we could go one cooler and the auto knife with a push button, or a switchblade as it is legally called. We could also do an out the front knife, but this is where things start getting a little different. And what I mean is when this blade is deployed, if I have this, oh, I locked it again. If I have this in my pocket and lint gets inside there, or a little rock, or a little shaving of something, and I go to hit the button to deploy it, and it gets stuck there, I have to try to shake that out of there. Now it's locked, and now I can use it. That's not very effective. So while this is incredibly cool and incredibly effective as a dagger, provided it's already deployed, there's a lot that can go wrong with this. So sometimes, while the idea of what is the most effective, sometimes simpler can be better. And along those lines, what might look cool and have really cool features, that's not one-handed or functionally, I can't do that under stress. So something with skill to operate, like what is this, a ballad song, right? This might be an incredibly deadly tool in the right hands, but it takes a lot more skill to use something like this. So considering all those, if I have something that is both simple and effective, ideally, the most deadly, untrained person can probably use a dagger with quite efficiency. Be highly effective, right? But this is also something that I'm not going to take with me every day. So let me compare it with a folding dagger. You can see quite a size difference there. But if we look at the blade length, near identical. Technically a little longer, but I'm going to call them equal, practically speaking. But you can see something like this is quite substantial. Now it does have a liner lock, which I'm not too fond of on a fighting blade, but ideally should do the job. So what could possibly be better than a massive folding dagger? So I did say this was a cold steel knife, and I bought it at Blade HQ on, was it Cyber Monday? Black Friday? I can't remember, one of those. And this is what I think is the coolest fighting knife that I now, in a moment, will own. Because technically it's in the package, so I can't really own it. Anyways, I'm going to use the box cutter here, because this is technically a box, right? Oh, that's right. I could have cut that by accident. They did a free t-shirt with the order there. So I'm glad I didn't cut that. Knife life. There you go. And here it is. Dun, da, da. Look at that mamba jam. Let me turn it the right way. The Tawar. 5.5 inch blade of awesomeness. Let's go ahead and, does it matter which side we open? No. Let's take a look. And something cooler than cool, blue handle. That's right. Oops, something dropped. I think I had the pocket clip for the other side that just fell out there. Look at that. Look how shiny that is. It's huge. I mean, look. It dwarfs any other blade I have. Look how cool it is. Nice pocket catch there. Now that is a blade. Wow. So we have all kinds of things going for this. First, in general, let's start from the get-go. Is it a large enough size that we can use it? I would say so. Is it one-handed opening? Yes, it is one-handed opening. Let's see, where do we go from there? One-handed opening. Is the finger grooves, are they effective? I would say so. Is the texture? This is grabbing your hands like crazy. I know you can't really see that. I mean, I'll see what I can do zooming in here. There is a lot of depth to that texture. So it's very sharp. Not enough to really abrade your jeans pocket, but definitely enough to grab a hold of and get texture from. What's the way to deploy? Is there more than one method? Yes, that's a pocket catch, much like an Emerson Wave. So that will snag on the corner of the lip of your pocket and deploy it. And then finally, it is a blade shape that is both, look at the entire slashing belly of this blade. It is the full length of that blade and the tip. Look how stout that tip is. I'm going to hold my hand next to it to try to focus. If it will focus, there it is. That is a awesome tip on a blade there, as well as a piercing blade. So I have all these features And the one thing we talked about that I haven't shown on any others is the triad lock. So it's both a, it's technically a lockback, which is the strongest lock mechanism. You've got your lock bar there. You know that's not going to be open unless you really push hard on that button. So the overall effectiveness of this blade is quite incredible. Is it pocketable? It's another, inch or so beyond the dagger that I previously had. I think so. But that's about as big as you can manage. So there we go, guys. Thanks for sticking to the end. I appreciate the 10 or so minutes you stuck around. Again, leave some comments down below. I don't know everything. I just bought a really cool knife and wanted to share it. Thought I'd give some insight along the way as to why anyone would need something like this. So with that, subscribe for more, comment and like down below. I love having you guys around and watching future videos. And we'll catch you on the next one, as I have trouble closing it here. There we go. Cool. All right, we'll clean this up, get the factory oil off it, start carrying it. Peace.